The room is quiet in the way that expensive rooms are quiet, not silent, just insulated. From the street noise outside, from the fluorescent hum of ordinary office buildings, from the particular acoustic texture of places where money is processed rather than managed. The carpet is thick enough to make footsteps disappear. The furniture is the kind that does not announce itself. There are no promotional posters on the walls, no interest rate offers, no cues. There is a desk, 2 chairs, a window with a view that was chosen deliberately, and 2 people sitting across from each other having a conversation about $40 million. One of them owns the $40 million. The other one manages it for a living. From the outside they look like equals. Same room, same table, same pot of coffee between them. But the economic distance between those 2 chairs is one of the widest gaps you will find in any professional setting anywhere, and almost none of it is visible in the room itself. That is the point. The room is designed to make the distance feel collaborative rather than transactional. It is designed to feel like a partnership between people of equivalent standing, which is a very specific and very deliberate illusion that private banking has spent over 2 centuries perfecting. This is what the room actually looks like from both sides of the table. The client arrived at private banking the way most people arrive at it, not by seeking it out, by reaching a number, a liquidity event, a business sale, an inheritance, a decade of concentrated equity compensation that finally vested in the same year the market cooperated. The specific path varies. The destination is the same, a balance sheet that became too complex to manage through a retail brokerage account and an accountant who calls twice a year. At some point, someone made an introduction. A lawyer, a fellow founder, a family member who had been through the same transition a few years earlier. The introduction led to a meeting. The meeting led to a relationship. The relationship led to this room. The client is not naive about what is happening here. Wealthy people did not become wealthy by misreading rooms. They understand that the institution across the table is a business, that the relationship manager across the table is a professional with targets and a compensation structure, and that the advice being offered exists inside a framework designed to retain assets under management and generate fees on them. They understand this, and they are here anyway, because the alternative, managing the complexity alone, costs more in time and risk than the fee costs in money. This is how private banking retains clients who are sophisticated enough to know exactly what they are paying for. Now look at the same room from the other chair. The relationship manager has been in private banking for 11 years. She started as a junior analyst building models for senior bankers who presented them to clients whose names she never learned. She moved to client-facing work after 3 years, carrying bags to meetings, handling follow-up, managing the administrative infrastructure of relationships too large to run without support. She built her own book of clients over the following 8 years, starting with smaller relationships that senior bankers did not have time for, proving over and over that she could be trusted with the conversation, with the discretion, with the particular social register that private banking operates in. She now manages 22 relationships. The smallest is $4 million. The largest is $65 million. Her total book is approximately $280 million in assets under management. At an average fee of 0.85%, her book generates roughly $2.4 million in annual revenue for the institution. She earns $340,000 a year, base salary plus performance bonus. She is considered a strong performer. She is being considered for a path toward partnership. The $2.4 million her book generates and the $340,000 she earns are not figures she thinks about simultaneously very often. The math is uncomfortable to sit with for any length of time, and the career is good, and the work is genuinely interesting, and the clients, most of them, are people she respects. So she does what most people do inside institutions that capture significantly more than they distribute. She focuses on the work rather than the ratio. The client across the table is deciding today whether to move $8 million of a fixed income allocation into a structured product the bank's investment team has been developing for the past 6 months. The product offers a specific return profile, principal protection up to a defined threshold, and exposure to a basket of assets the client has been wanting access to without taking on direct position risk. The bank earns an arrangement fee on the product. The bank also earns ongoing management fees if the client maintains the allocation. The product is genuinely suitable for this client's situation. It also generates more revenue for the institution than a simple index fund allocation would. Both of those things are true simultaneously. This is the normal condition of private banking advice. The relationship manager presents the product clearly. She explains the structure in plain terms, the protection mechanism, the return scenario under different market conditions, the liquidity constraints, the fee load. The client asks questions that demonstrate he has read the term sheet before arriving, which she expected because he always reads the materials before arriving. They spend 40 minutes on it. He says he wants to think overnight. She says of course. They move to the rest of the agenda. Behind this conversation, in an office 3 floors up, sits the team that built the product being discussed. The structuring desk is staffed by people who do not meet clients. They meet spreadsheets. They meet risk models. They meet the institution's treasury team and the compliance department and the legal team and the counterparty banks whose products sit inside the structure they are building. They are highly technical, highly compensated relative to most of the population, and almost entirely invisible to the clients whose capital will eventually flow into what they create. A senior structure at a private bank earns somewhere between $200,000 and $500,000 annually, depending on the institution and the complexity of the products they build. Their work is the intellectual infrastructure of the relationship the client never sees. The conversation in the quiet room with the thick carpet is possible because people on the structuring desk spent months building the thing being discussed in it. Below both of them, in the operational architecture of the institution, sits the back office. The back office is where transactions are processed, where accounts are reconciled, where the compliance checks run, where the reporting gets generated that tells the client 4 times a year exactly what their $40 million is doing and how much it costs to manage. The people in the back office earn between $45,000 and $90,000, depending on role and seniority. They interact with the client's money constantly and with the client almost never. They are the operational substrate of the relationship, essential and essentially invisible. A back office operations associate processing a $2 million wire transfer for a private banking client earns in a year roughly what that transfer earns the institution in fees in 3 weeks. This comparison does not occur to most people inside the institution because institutions are very good at creating internal cultures where each level focuses on its own work rather than its position within the larger economic structure. Now, look at who owns the institution that contains all of these people. The private bank in this story is partnership owned. 14 partners. Each of them came up through the institution or arrived with a client book from a competitor. Each of them owns a percentage of the firm negotiated at the time of their admission to partnership. The founding partners own larger percentages. The more recently admitted partners own smaller ones. The percentages matter because the institution distributes a significant portion of its annual profit to partners proportional to their ownership. In a recent year, the institution managed $18 billion in assets at an average fee of 0.80%, that is $144 million in gross revenue. After paying all staff, all technology, all real estate, all compliance, all operational costs, the institution produced a net profit of approximately $52 million. That profit was distributed to 14 partners according to their ownership percentages. The founding partner with the largest ownership stake received approximately $7 million in profit distribution that year, on top of his base compensation. He has been a partner for 19 years. He built his client book over the first decade of his career, was admitted to partnership in year 11, and has spent the years since then managing a smaller number of very large relationships, while the institutional economics of his ownership stake have compounded quietly in the background. He sits in the same kinds of rooms the relationship manager sits in. Same carpet, same furniture, same pot of coffee, but the chair he occupies is not the same chair. His relationships are with clients whose assets are large enough that retaining them is an institutional priority rather than an individual performance metric. His compensation is not a function of how hard he works or how many meetings he attends. It is a function of how much the institution earns, which is a function of how much it manages, which is a function of how many clients stay, which is a function of how well every relationship manager in the building does their job in every quiet room every day. He owns the outcome of other people's effort. This is the structure that the quiet room sits inside. The client with $40 million is wealthy by any measure most people would apply. The relationship manager earning $340,000 is comfortable by most measures most people would apply. The structure earning $350,000 is doing well by almost any external comparison. The back office associate, earning $65,000, is earning a reasonable wage for a skilled operational role in a major financial institution. And the founding partner, collecting $7 million in annual profit distribution from his ownership stake in the institution that employs all of them, serves all of their clients, and charges fees on every dollar under its management, is in a category that does not have much in common with any of the others, regardless of how similar the furniture looks from room to room. The room is quiet, in the way expensive rooms are quiet. What is loud, if you know where to listen, is the fee meter running underneath all of it. Every conversation, every recommendation, every wire processed by someone in the back office who will never meet the client whose money they are moving. Every structured product built by someone on the third floor who will never sit in the room where it gets sold. All of it running, all of it generating, all of it flowing upward through a structure that looks, from the outside, like a very tasteful building with very good coffee and very attentive staff. From the inside, it looks like what it is: a machine for turning other people's wealth into recurring revenue for the people who own the machine. The two chairs in the quiet room are both inside it. They just face different directions.